Here's a topic we're going to be talking about for much of the first semester, and of course, probably if you're at a pre-calculus level, you've talked about functions maybe for 3 or 4 years now. But one thing you're gonna realize that I am not a really good abstract thinker. So when I see something like along the lines of a definition of a function that says um, an expression is or a relation is a function if for every value x in the domain there's exactly one value of y in the domain, that doesn't have a whole lot of meaning to me. And I go back to my years, my formative years when I was learning about functions, and I was definitely a cartoon hound. Loved watching the cartoons and the Saturday morning. Had to get up at Saturday morning to watch cartoons. We didn't have anything like Nickelodeon where it was 24/7 cartoons. So for me to learn abstract concepts, it was really helpful to have something visual that I could deal with. And as it turned out, it was this little guy, this little Keebler Cookie Elf Factory that the commercials were on in the morning. And as I was learning factory, or as I was learning about functions, which often I will refer to as factories, um, I, I, I saw something that my teacher drew a picture of a function factory, and some of you may know what I'm referring to there. It's not really that relevant, but I remember seeing on the Saturday morning cartoon the Keebler Elf commercial where elves were pushing in wheelbarrows raw materials to the tree, and they were dumping raw materials in there. And some of the commercials you got a chance to look what was going on inside the tree or inside the function, the factory, and others all you got to see was there was materials going to the tree, and then on the other side of the tree or maybe coming out of the near the basement of the tree they would be bringing out these fudge striped cookies or something along that line. And I to me that clicked, and I'm like, maybe that can be my visual for what a function is. And then I remember seeing some questions about functions. Some of the first questions you're typically asked about functions are questions like, they give you lists of ordered pairs, and if 1 3 and 6 2 and 1 7 is a relation, is it a function? And I thought, wow, that doesn't really relate to the whole Keebler Elf thing. That didn't really help me there understand the definition of a function. But then I came upon it. And so I said, what if I was the foreman of this factory and I had these five elves, elf A, B, C, D, and E, working for me, and I took those ordered pairs and I treated it as what's going into the factory versus what's coming out of the factory, and I just assigned each elf a job. For instance, let's say elf A. I go to elf A and I say, elf A, if a 3 comes into this factory, I want you to take that 3, take it downstairs, and turn it into a 7, perhaps. And so that's Elf A's job this whole day. I stand at the opening of the factory, and if a 3 comes in, I grab it, take it downstairs, I turn it into a 7, I ship it out. And then I have Elf B, and I say, Elf B, you're in charge of turning 4s into -2s. That's your job all day. And Elf C, you're going to turn 11s into 3s. And Elf D, you're going to turn 1s into 7s. And Elf E, you're going to turn 5s into 4s. Then I said, okay, now I'm asked, is this a function? And what does that have to do with the elves? And can I kind of formulate in my mind so I can see this abstract concept of a function? And my first thought, as I was looking through some of these, is, well, what about what's going on here and here? And I'd say, well, Elf A is turning 3s into 7s. Elf D is turning 1s into 7s. And they may meet in the break room sometime, and Elf D may ask A, hey, what are you doing? And A says, I'm turning 3s into 7s. And D says, well, what a coincidence. I'm turning 1s into 7s. But their job is very, very descriptive. They don't have any confusion about what they're to do. I'm going to add one more elf on here, elf F. In fact, before I do that, I'm gonna talk about vertical line testing these points. And one of the easiest ways, if we can see a graph, to determine if a relation is a function is based on looking at it at the graph and using the vertical line test, which you can certainly look up, but many of you would be familiar with at this point. So I'm just going to go, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I'm just going to plot relatively where these points are. So I have a point at 3, maybe up here at 7, and I have a point at 4, maybe down here at -2, and I have another point over at 11, just up 3, and a point at 1, it's up 7, and another point at 5, and it's up 4. And we say, okay, this guy is a function because it passes our vertical line test. No vertical line goes through more than one point. And that's the vertical line test. So let me add one more job. So now there's ELF comes in, and I say, all right, ELF, you've joined us. Here's what I'd like you to do today. I'd like you to take 4s and you turn them into 6s. And of course, that adds this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 6. And now we see we fail the vertical line test. And I say, okay, if I can formulate that in terms of what elves are doing and make some sense out of it, then I got it made. So as I list my direction, I'm like, A, you're going to grab the 3 when it comes in here, and you're going to run that down and turn it into a 7. B, you're going to grab a 4, turn it into a -2. C, 11s become 3s. You get that 11, you take it down there. D's, 1 becomes 7. It doesn't matter that 3s become 7s. Also, one, you're just going to deal with 1s. Mind your own business. What A does is none of your business. Turn 1s into 7s. E's turn 5s into 4s. F's, if a 4 comes in there, you grab that thing, you take it downstairs, you turn it into 6. And now I got it. Right here, B has been told to you grab the 4s, you turn them into -2s. F has been told you grab the 4s, you turn them into 6s. And now we have just created ELF confusion because they're fighting over the 4s. That is not a function. And the reason is our elves don't know what to do with 4s. So ELF confusion, if that helps you determining if ordered pairs are a function or not, great. Vertical line test, wonderful. If you think that that's just bizarre, that's fine too. That was something that worked for me, and I know that we have some visual learners in here as well. Hope that's helpful to you.